Britain, what did we, the Biafran people, ever do to you? For over 200 years now, since your people first left your land and came to my land and met my people, the peace and tranquility that existed in my land since the time of the ancients, Ndi, writers of the very first constitution of humanity, has long since been destroyed by your people. You have orchestrated a slow-motion war of attrition and extinction against my people, and you, Britain, has turned my land into a living hell, with my people dying like their lives never mattered and fleeing their own land into a global diaspora. Since my people welcomed your people with open arms to my land, you have treacherously deceived us, pointed your guns at us, divided us, took and taken away our rights as human beings, branded us pagans, savages, primitive, monkeys, animals, and as inferior, killed and murdered us, put monetary price on our heads and sold us as slaves, enslaved us in your lands and on our lands, and kept us subjugated all the while till today. And despite all your deceitful charades of independence, you have kept my people enslaved and subjugated by further deceptive means and coercions. Every interaction you have engaged in with my people has always and still ends up in being a crime against humanity, against my people. For over 200 years, Britain, when will your evils against us Biafrans end? Another 200 years? Or another 8 years? Or maybe just one more year? Britain, what did the Biafrans ever do to you? After years and years of pleading to your deafened ears and fraudulent concessions, when you finally pretend to listen to our pleas, it has become clearer to me and to every other conscious sub-Saharan African that you, Britain, will never hear us, let alone free us. I hereby take the moral high ground before the entire world and humanity to call Britain out for her crimes against humanity, perpetuated against the Biafrans and other indigenous Africoid and Australoid groups of humans around the world, and her hypocritical behavior towards these crimes and her lack of accountability and responsibility towards this ugly legacy of hers. And if you love freedom anywhere in the world, you know that what I say is true. Britain's history and actions towards my people is leading to the extinction of my people. We will no longer plead with your arrogantly deafened ears, Britain, as we yet watch you constantly pushing us Biafrans to extinction, all because of economic interests of a British minority who use these economic benefits to buy the complicity of Britain. The evil that Britain did and is still doing. Over 200 years ago, your people left your land and came to my land, and my people welcomed them with open arms. We, Ndi, were Republicans, imbued with the fundamental principles of live and let live. We were open to trade, but you deceived us and lied to us and pointed your guns at us, made war against us, divided us, took and taken away our rights as human beings, branded us pagans, savages, primitive, monkeys, animals, and as inferior, killed and murdered us, sold us as slaves, enslaved us in your land and on our own land, and kept us subjugated, took away our ancestral way of worship, and imposed your Christianity on us at gunpoint and threat of fines. And as a most painful stab in the back, you, Britain, gave us Christianity, and today you yet connive and gang up with Muslims to kill and murder my people that you, Britain, gave Christianity. Still, with your guns pointed at us, you colonized us, robbed us, looted my land of its resources and labor, kept up the whole deceit with neo-colonialism and a fraudulent flag independence where you trapped my people in the same country with the murderous Fulani you, Britain, worked with during the slave trade to enslave my people, giving them license and impunity to kill off my people. It is clear to me that you, Britain, knows all the crimes you have committed in the past against my people, the Biafrans, and and still today working hard to erase the evidence from history's greatest crime scene by committing yet another crime with clear and evident premeditated schemes, policies, and actions. To demonstrate this blind hate for no reason you, Britain, has for my people, unless you have a reason and want to tell us what that reason is that you hate my people. To demonstrate this reason for the blind hate you have for my people, you even coined a racist, hateful name for the glorified slave camp you created for us as a country on giving us a fraudulent independence, the so-called nigger area. You discovered palm oil in my land, brought a war to us to control the price of a resource that came from my land. In this war, you brought upon my people and their just rights. You exiled our leader, Jaja of Opobo, from his land, leading him to die in exile because of palm oil and profits. You, Britain, could have stopped these crimes against Biafra on your granting independence, but you didn't, and you chose to continue your crimes till today by your means of neo-colonialism. With my people under your duress, you then discovered crude oil in my land and mined it in secret without telling us for over 50 years, and then used it to manipulate my people into an unjust war against your northern Fulani stooges, with yourself, Britain, supervising and participating in the genocide by enforcing a total blockade that led to a famine and starvation of 6 million Biafrans, yet you conspired to hide all the evidence. And you call yourself civilized. Really? To further demonstrate Britain's blind hate for my people, the Biafrans, during the Nigeria-Biafran Civil War, which you, Britain, instigated, which coincided with the height of the Cold War. Somehow, you, Britain, connived with your Cold War enemy, Russia, to supply your Fulani Nigerian stooges with MiG jet fighters to use to bomb the defenseless and unarmed Biafran peoples and their villages, bringing in Egyptian pilots to fly these jets for their illiterate Fulani Nigerian stooges. Today, you get 13 free barrels of oil through your neo-colonialist oil companies on my land for every 1 barrel your fraudulent, evil Nigerian state sells to make income for the so-called Nigerians. Leaving my land, the most oil-polluted land anywhere on the planet. The UN Charter has a ratified provision for the rights of self-determination of indigenous peoples. You, Britain, exercised this right in your Brexit vote. The EU did not oppose you with guns and murder. Scotland had a referendum. You did not march up to Scotland, shooting and murdering. Why is it then that when we Biafrans, who you entrapped in your evil contraption called Nigeria, call out for an exercise of these rights enshrined by the UN for the rights to self-determination of indigenous peoples? You, Britain, you send your ambassador and your media to start running around stating that the unity of Nigeria is sacrosanct. Why? Effectively undermining the Biafran calls for the right to self-determination. To the British public, do you know that Britain is behind most of the evils you see going on in Africa today, along with their partner, France? But we'll get to France later. I'm sure about 2 or 3 years ago, or maybe 4 now, we all heard about a supposed plot by a British Defence Minister, Gavin Williamson, to recolonize Africa. There is no smoke without fire. Gavin Williamson was just thrown under the bus. If anyone can come up and tell me how it is that one man can plan on his own how to abrogate the powers of the entire British military to reenact the colonization of Africa, then please do. Gavin Williamson was just thrown under the bus. This, we know, is something that was extensively discussed not by one man, but by a few. And we know they've been pushing this agenda by instigating terrorism and funding and sponsoring terrorism across Africa. Yes, the British government. Britain, why is it that you told Donald Trump, when he asked you what was going on in your former colony, why all the killings, all the murdering of Christians, and you told him you needed 8 more years? I ask you, 8 more years to do what? 8 more years to do what? What? So what? You need 8 more years to loot the place, regardless of how many people get killed in the process. As long as you loot the place, make your profit and balance your books, the lives don't matter. Britain, I have to ask you, what was a Royal Air Force aircraft seen doing in Abuja about 3 weeks ago, with British operatives unloading crates and boxes? What was your defense minister doing touring the same Abuja 2 weeks ago, with more British operatives? 300 we gather now. What was your High Commissioner, Katrina Liang, who clearly is an agent? What was she and the French agent too doing, holding a stakeholders meeting of Nigerians, telling them on why Nigeria's unity needs to be sacrosanct? Did anybody tell you about the EU's unity being sacrosanct? Do you go around telling Scotland about their unity being sacrosanct? Why are you manipulating the destinies of other people for your own gain, selfish gains? Britain, what were British drones seen doing in Biafra land, looking for ESN, Eastern Security Network operatives, together with the Nigerian terrorist infiltrated army? Britain, it is clear your members of your government are now working with terrorists, because the Nigerian government is known to be infiltrated by terrorists, by your government, the Americans, and several other governments worldwide. It's an open, it's not a secret anymore. It's the worst kept secret on the planet that the Nigerian government has been infiltrated by terrorists. And you're there in Abuja advising them and giving them military hardware. Why? Just all because you want to keep a group of people subjugated. You will work with terrorists just to achieve this aim. And the BBC, the BBC always, it's funny how the BBC is in every nook and cranny of the world, but they always miss the narrative. They always have this aloof propaganda reading narrative. And if I may say, it is now clear that the BBC is the world's greatest propaganda machine ever. What was the BBC Igbo doing? Running recruitment campaigns for the terrorist infiltrated Nigerian army. Really? BBC Igbo now campaigning for the Nigerian army's recruitment. Wow. Britain. Britain is now training terrorists. Britain is now training the members of the Nigerian army, an army that captures Boko Haram terrorists and then takes them into the army, claiming that they are now repentant. Britain is now giving this same army training with their military operatives in Abuja as we speak. And today, it is clear Britain is trying to instigate another war. Britain is as guilty as sin of her past crimes, and she is clearly working hard to erase, if possible, the crime scene itself. Erase as much evidence as possible. Britain will not let us Biafrans go in peace. She will try and cause as much instability to us, to keep us as disorientated for as long as possible, while she schemes on her next agenda and move to try and get rid of us. It's clear now. Let's stop pretending and lying to ourselves. And to any proud white British people out there, before you see red mist on what seems like an attack on your history and get ignorantly racist on me, please, can any of you tell me one thing we Biafrans ever did to you Britons? Please. I have tabled out my case, read a list of the crimes you've committed against me and my people. Please, can somebody out there in Britain step up to me and give me just one crime we Biafrans ever committed against Britain? Some of you, I can already hear saying, oh yeah, here we go. Another black man blaming white people for everything. And I personally, I'm not the sort of person that goes around blaming other people for my own shortcomings. But I have to ask you that thinks I'm blaming white people. I have to ask you, Britain, but why are your hands always all over my business? Why? For over 200 years, you've had your hands in my business and you won't let go. You've been messing things up for me and my people for over 200 years. So how dare you blame me for blaming you? Some of you will say I have disrespected your history. But let's put this thing into perspective. Your history is a history of destroying my history. Wholesale destruction of my history. And yet, my history is more ancient than yours. I grew up thinking Britain was the finest civilization in human history yet. But now I know I have been misled, miseducated by British propaganda. Britain is and has been rolling in the mud with the worst ever group of people, the Fulanis. And as I begin to watch Britain and their Fulani stooges rolling around in the mud together, it becomes evident that Britain and her Fulani friends are birds of the same feather. And my respect for Britain is on a terminal trajectory. The Fulanis you, Britain, are rolling in the mud with is akin to an eating posh boy falling in love with a homeless crackhead. By the time you finish rolling in this mud with the Fulanis, your name, Britain, will become synonymous with Fulani marauding and banditry. Britain, I'm only going to tell you the truth. By your actions, through your history, you are a vampire nation, and a very evil one at that. A nation that sucks the life out of others like a ruthless, virulent parasite. A treacherous, bloodthirsty, blood-sucking nation with blood-soaked hands and past. To call yourself the developed country you parade yourselves as, others have to pay with their lives. Britain is built on the blood, bones, tears, and pain of others. And the insult upon injury is that you parade yourselves around the world as a civilized nation, hypocritically championing human rights. You went around the world pointing guns at everyone else, whilst you raped and pillaged them ravenously, and you call that civilization. From where I'm standing, all I can see is a nation built on a history of unbridled barbarism. Your fingerprints are all over the top three greatest crimes against humanity ever committed. The slave trade, colonization, and neo-colonialism. Britain, your fingerprints are all over these three crimes. And I challenge anyone to argue with me that these three crimes are not the top three greatest crimes against humanity. And I'm not asking for an award for that. You even try to indoctrinate me through your Christianity and education that you, Britain, was and is the good guy, and that my people were and are the bad guys. How insidious. How insidious. Britain, you're evil and as guilty as sin for unbridled crimes against my people and humanity. Your people have ambiguously waged a war on my people for over 200 years, and the day I rise up to fight back for my freedom after failed pleadings with you, you will deceitfully and treacherously brand me a terrorist. Now I know why Muslims blow things up. It's 'cause you, Britain, don't listen. Britain, you can do your worst, but we will be free. No dictator, no oppressor can hold and imprison a population by manipulation or force of arms forever. There is no greater force in the universe than the need for freedom. Against this force, dictators, armies, and bullets cannot stand. We taught you this lesson once before, long ago, during Ekumeku. We will teach it to you again. Though it may take 10, 20, 100 years, we will never stop. We must be free. I swear by my God and your God that this nonsense you are perpetrating against my people must end in my generation, or this world will end for all of us. At this stage, I've got nothing else to lose. All I ask is that you, Britain, come out with a categorical statement within this month of April 2021 on enacting procedures for the breakup of the evil contraption you created called Nigeria via referendum, and the instructing of your murderous Fulani stooges to cease the unbridled carnage, killing and raping of indigenous peoples of Nigeria, or else I will start my own madness with you. And when I finish, they will remove the great from Britain, and you will begin to pay for your crimes against humanity. And the longer you, Britain, perpetrate this crime against my people, the harder you will be made to pay for it. Hashtag stop the senseless murder in Britain's Nigeria now. Referendum in Nigeria now. I call out the British government, who enacted policies that caused and still perpetuating this mess. I call out MI6, who was and always was there from the very beginning of this mess called Nigeria, managing the mess. And I call out the British aristocracy with their neo-colonialist interests in the city of London. Britain, it is time to face up to a heinous past of committing crimes against other humans. And I also call on the British public to bear witness to the crimes that their government is committing and perpetrating in their name. End your neo-colonialism of Africa now, or else when I finish with you, Britain, in this life and the next life, anywhere you see a black man, you, Britain, will run away. If we are going to live and let live, then there must be justice. Britain, what did we ever do to you? Can you just leave us Biafrans alone? What will it take for you to leave us alone? Violence seems to be the only language you understand, and yet you call yourselves civilized. You think you have all the cards? We draw the line here and now, in this time. Do your worst. Kaintibebu. If you want to kill us all, then go ahead, start. I always heard the world will end by man's own hands. Well, at least it will be in a fight for justice and freedom. Britain, you can take this as a warning, a threat, or advice, or whatever you want to take it as. I don't really care, but the message has been sent.